a version of the recording to our website in the coming days. So you'll have access to go back to revisit many of the portions of this session. All right, so welcome again, everyone. We are here for Canvas 101 for teachers, and this session is being presented to you by the technology training team. And while we do have a lot of members here with us, today you'll be hearing specifically from Michelle Conti, from me, I'm Megan Eric, Monica Jenkins, and Marianne Santos. We do have quite a few other members behind the scenes, and I don't have my participant window up to tell you everyone who's here, but we do have enough of us here to definitely provide you the support that you need. All right, so today's objectives, and I will say that these are not presented necessarily in the order that we'll be addressing them, but today you will have an opportunity to experience Canvas as a student so that you can see what it will look like from their perspective, explore some of the features, and get to know it a little bit from that side. We'll also make sure that we talk through some of the PGCPS expectations for use, our roadmap for where Canvas is going this year and beyond, and some of the features that will be available or may not yet be available. Then we will walk through the course creation process, and you can see the different features that you'll learn as part of that process. And then we will also talk about once your course is created, how do you organize it, provide structure using things like modules, pages, and then how do you provide opportunities for your students through assignments? And how do you make a nice experience for them through navigation and announcements? So again, we'll be covering all of these things as we go throughout the session, maybe not in this order, but you'll get a chance to experience each one. All right, so in addition to using the features of WebEx that we talked about, as we go through the next couple hours together, we ask that you stay focused. We know it's so hard. You're on a computer, email, sales, all those things are just a click away. Canvas isn't hard, but there's a lot to it. So we ask that you do give your time and attention to this so that you really can soak in all of that we're trying to share with you. Now, don't worry, we will have scheduled breaks. We have a plan for, I believe we have 2 breaks planned in to give you a chance to stretch, take your eyes away from the computer, do what you need to do so that you can stay focused in the time that you're with us. The way we'll be functioning in the workshop today, we will do some just sort of telling you things, but then we will also do modeling where we'll specifically do that we do portion. We'll walk you through the process. We'll ask that you stay with us in WebEx during the we do portion. And then we'll say, okay, now here it's your turn. And you'll see a slide that even says your turn with a recap of the things that we'd like you to work on. And at that point, you'll jump over to Canvas, work on those skills, and then we'll come back together back in WebEx when that little, when the you do or your turn portion is finished. So we will be going between WebEx and Canvas. We want to make sure that you're comfortable going between 2 screens or 2 browsers or tabs, however your computer happens to be set up today. And then, of course, just a reminder to continue using those tools, chat for links we share, Q&A for questions you have, and reactions just to show us how you're feeling. So let's pause there for a second. Before we go any further, why don't you just give me a quick reaction and let me know how your summer's going so far. Now that we're a couple weeks into it, let's just see how we're feeling about that. Oh, good. Wonderful. Lots of happy, positive emotions. I love it. I am headed to the beach tomorrow. So it's only for 2 days. So it's a little bit of a smiley and a little bit of a frowny on the duration. So great. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And then finally, we're going to post a link into chat for a link to a handout that has some resources on it. Since we are asking you to stay focused, we have provided you with a handout that recaps some of what we'll be saying and has links that you may find useful later. We do occasionally add resources to this. So you do want to make sure that you have the link to this bookmarked. And if you make a copy to take notes on, that's okay. But just know that sometimes we may update some of the information on there as well. Okay. All right. So let's start out with our first poll. I'm going to go ahead and open the poll. And again, over to the right, kind of where you normally see chat and Q&A, you should see something pop up. And it's just to let us know what your experience with Canvas is so far. So let us know if you've used Canvas, and if you have, in what way. We'll give that just a couple minutes. 30 more seconds to pick the answer that most aligns with your level of experience with Canvas. Let's see, most of us have answered. There is a small delay in when I close the poll and when we can see the responses. So I'm going to go ahead and close, but that's still going to give the last few participants a chance to answer. We have about 10 seconds left if you haven't entered your response. And then I'll go ahead and share these responses so that we can see where all of us stand. All right, so let's see. And you should see these results appear over on the right. Well, it looks like of those of us who answered, most of us have no experience with Canvas. And that is absolutely okay. We are starting from scratch today. And that's part of the reason we're giving you the student experience at the beginning. And then we'll peel that back and go in from the teacher perspective. And I see some of us have student or teacher experience. So that's great. You can use that to inform how you think about things, but it's absolutely okay if you're coming fresh. We're excited to have you here. All right, so that being said, what is Canvas? Well, we did send a link to a video in the email that we sent out before today, the one that included today's link. Hopefully you had a chance to watch that short little video that kind of tells you how it fits into Prince George's County and really what an LMS is. If you haven't, I do encourage you to go back to that later. The link is also in the handout that we posted in chat. But in summary, Canvas really is, it's a learning management system, which we affectionately call an LMS. But it's a place to distribute and collect your assignments, to share resources to your students. And in this past year, when we were completely virtual, that was absolutely essential. That was our only way of communicating, and we used Classroom for that. But moving forward, we're going to be in most of us are going to be in a face-to-face classroom. And Canvas absolutely still has a place there because we will largely be in a one-to-one classroom. So our students will have devices, and this is a great way to still structure their learning, give them opportunities to interact with all of the digital tools that you want them to have. It's really that great home base, a place for them to have rich discussions. So it absolutely has a place in a virtual classroom and in our face-to-face classroom. So let's talk about where Canvas is in Prince George's County Public Schools this coming fall. There's a few things to know. The first is that our curriculum documents, the curriculum hub, the wheel, will be available in Canvas, moving from the staff portal to Canvas. So every teacher will be going into Canvas to access the curriculum document. So that's one thing. So great, you've got a head start. You'll know how to get in and where to click for that. So that's great. The second way that we'll be using Canvas in the fall is it's actually available alongside Classroom this year. So for the 21-22 school year, teachers will have the choice between Canvas and Classroom. Now, in some cases, that may be a building level decision. Administrators may decide that they prefer for all students and parents to have the same experience, and they may choose one platform over the other. And in other cases, it may be a grade level or individual classroom decision. But for next year, both tools will be available. We do recommend that if you pick one, you stick with it, just really for our student and parents' experience. It's better than them switching between platforms and creating any more confusion. So pick one, or maybe pick one class to try with Canvas and use Classroom with your others. You'll work out what works best for you as you move through this course and talk to your colleagues and your administrators. And then also in the fall, you'll notice, and we'll talk about this a little bit today, that curriculum and instruction has been hard at work at creating some exemplar courses. So there, you'll notice that for each content area in the fall, you'll be able to see at least one exemplar course for an elementary, middle, or high school version. It doesn't mean every course has one, but you can use it to kind of be informed about, oh, this is what an elementary math course could look like in Canvas. Maybe it's not your grade level, but it can provide that inspiration or information that you need. So we'll take a look at where those are and what kind of information is available in them. And then also in the fall, our students will access Canvas via Clever. And in fact, today, that's also how, as teachers, we'll be accessing Canvas. And excitingly, for teachers who choose or opt to use Canvas, there will be an opportunity for families to have access. So it will be a view-only access. They won't be able to submit anything or change any work, but they'll be able to have that nice peek into the class so they can have those rich discussions with their student about what's happening instructionally in the classroom and where they might be able to provide or seek additional support for their learner. So those are all ways that Canvas will be fitting into our landscape this fall. As we move forward in the year, into the spring, beyond, we will be starting to use Canvas for professional learning opportunities. So that won't really be until the spring where you will be the learner in a Canvas course, right? For the fall, you're going to be the instructor if you choose to use it. But starting in the spring, we'll open it up more for adult learners. And curriculum and instruction will continue to build out exemplar modules for more courses and grade levels. So when you go in the fall and you say, hey, that's really not my grade level, hang on, they're getting there. And they'll be providing more resources as we move forward, not just this spring, but they'll continue to build out some more resources. Maybe not for every single subject, for every single grade, for every single thing, but they are working toward adding more content for you. And then finally, the question that's always on everyone's mind is, does it talk to SchoolMax? At this time in the fall, there is no connection for grades between SchoolMax and Canvas. In the spring, if funding permits, we will be exploring the connection between Canvas and SchoolMax. So let me be clear that there is no guarantee that Canvas will talk to SchoolMax this school year. We're hopeful that we can work out some connections, but we can't make any promises on that for timeline. So right now, just as in Classroom, as students complete assignments and you score them and they have grades listed in Classroom, and then we go over to SchoolMax and enter in those scores, that same practice will still be in place in Canvas. Students will earn their scores, you'll take those scores and you'll enter them into SchoolMax. SchoolMax will be the official system of record for all grades in the fall and in the spring. So even if we make that connection, SchoolMax is still the official point of record. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pause there for a moment and just give you a chance. Pause just for like 30 seconds if there's any questions that you were continuing to drop into Q&A before we talk through the student experience. All right. So in a moment, we're going to take you into Canvas where you will be able to self-enroll in a course and click through the course. I do want to encourage you as you go through this course take a look at it as not like, oh, I wonder how they did this, or I wonder what this is, or why is this like this, but just sit back and absorb it and think about the different things that you're noticing that Canvas can do. We'll take care of some of the how later. Right now, I just want you to focus on the what's here. It's just like your little exploratory access to a course. So in a moment, I'm going to show you how to join and then point out the few key areas in the course that'll help you navigate better, right? So, actually, let me come back to this. Actually, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump into the course and show you the key areas. Then I'll show you how to join. We'll do it that way instead. So after you join the course, you'll be in, and this is sort of student view. When you come in, you're going to go right into the course, and you'll see the way this is all set up, just to talk you through the basic pieces of Canvas. Over here on the left, this blue section, we call that our global navigation because that's always available. Then we have this white area with blue text. This is our course navigation. And if you're ever in a course and you don't see anything over here, it's possible that you clicked on what some people affectionately call hamburger, but it's our little menu up here on the top left. Watch this. If I click, it kind of just collapses my course menu. So if you don't see a course menu, just go ahead and give those 4 lines a click to show your course menu. All right. Now, once you're on your course menu, I want you to focus on 2 key links. This is, I always think about this, you know, I have little boys, and whenever we go out in public, it's always like, okay, get lost. This is the place we come back to. Same thing in Canvas. If you're working your way through Canvas and you get confused or you get lost, these are your 2 places to go back to. First one is home, right? That makes the most sense. That's your starting point. That's where students will always enter a course, the basic information about the course, maybe some key buttons to help you navigate through the course. As you can see here, this particular course, we have buttons for announcements, elementary, middle, and high school. Now, why would we have that? Well, what we've done in this sample course is we've curated content from some of the exemplar courses created by Curriculum and Instruction to give you, if you're an elementary teacher, maybe you'll explore some of the elementary content. If you're a middle school teacher, start there. If you're a high school teacher, start with the high school content. Feel free to click your way around, but I'll go ahead and start with middle school. And when I click on middle school, it takes me to my modules page, and I'll tell you more about what that means in a moment. But here you can see, here's my middle school section, and it suggests maybe this is week 1 of U.S. history for grade 8, quarter 1. So this is first thing at the beginning of the year, and you can see the different segments. So here's how we navigate through that. We just go ahead and click on a top. Well, it says start here, so let's start. Click. And as you go through Canvas, you can either read your page, and then at the bottom, use the next button on the right or the previous button on the left to go to the very next segment of the course. If you realize, oh, I don't want to go to the next segment, I wanted to go to a very specific one, or I just don't know where I am in the course, then you can go back to this module section on the left. I'm going to click on that now. And you can see these are all the modules in the course. As I scroll down, there's middle school. That's where we started just a little bit ago. I was on start here. I could jump to any of these segments. Okay, so just keep in mind, home and modules are your 2 best friends as you navigate through a course. And these other components are ones that may be relevant to any specific course. So in a moment, when we give you the directions and you're going to jump into the sample course, click through. If there's assignments or activities, try them out. We're not going to judge you whether you get questions right or wrong. You're just clicking answers just to see what the experience is like. And then at the end, we will ask that you do go to one activity. So regardless of which grade level you explore, you're all going to finish by doing your Canvas first impressions discussion. And I'm going to go into this one here. And you can see we have our question. So what's your first impression of Canvas? What module did you explore? Something you liked or want to learn more about. So we would ask that each person does take the time to reply. And to reply to a discussion, simply click on reply. And just wait a moment for our rich content editor to appear. And then you can start typing your reply just like you would in any other discussion board. But here's something I love about Canvas. Not only can I type my reply, I can use this feature under the insert media or the record upload media icon, click the drop down menu and choose upload or record media. And if I happen to have a video on my computer, I could grab that. I don't have one. So I'm going to go to record. And now I can click on my video. I'm going to click on start record. No. Oh, it doesn't like it because I have my video. So let me turn off my video from Sandbox. My computer will only let me do one at a time. And I'll turn on my video and start recording. And it looks like it still didn't grab my video, and I think that's just because WebEx confused it. But I should be able to actually show me talking. I can show a video and record my voice as part of my response. Click finish. Name. Click save. And so there, it just brought in my audio. I'm going to click it one more time just to see. Nice to know my computer. Oh, there it is. There I am. Okay. So again, I could just click start recording. Give a fabulous overview of what I loved about Canvas. Click finish. And save. And then my lovely audio recordings and video recordings are part of my reply. Then I can just click post reply. And now anybody else who comes along can watch my videos, they can reply, they can give it a thumbs up, or they can go ahead and record their own. All right. So that was a lot. Remember the two main places in Canvas, home and modules. You're not going to break it, so just click through it and explore. So at this point, I heard something beep at me. I don't know what it is. I'm going to go ahead and show you the video on how you will join the course, and then we'll put the link in chat. And once you click the link, you'll be redirected to the Clever logon page. If not, you'll just be redirected to the this logon page. You'll be redirected to this logon page. And you'll enter in your username and password. If you happen to already be logged into some services, you may not even have that. You won't have to click login as teacher, but you will be redirected right to here where you'll click enroll in course. And as soon as you click enroll in course, it will prompt you to go to your dashboard or to the course. We want you to go directly to the course. And once you click, you'll be in, and then you can start navigating through and explore it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and give you about 10 minutes to jump into that course and to start exploring. So let's see they have an opportunity to respond in the discussion board. And looks like we explored all different levels. We've looked at the homework feature. A lot of people noticed the inclusion of other resources like Nearpod right into the modules, the actual family resources that are available for you there. So thank you so much for your specific feedback. Why don't we just do a quick visual response? And if you could just give me an emoji that speaks to your first impressions of Canvas. Again, just use those little reactions in the bottom right or bottom right. Good. Good. Awesome. Smileys, claps. All right, good. So a lot of positive feedback so far. Okay, a little bit of, I see some downs. That's okay. Hopefully, as we go through today, maybe we can help change those thumbs down, maybe to a thumbs up if there was a particular concern that you had. All right. So one thing I want to note, I do want to mention before we go into the next phase of Canvas, it relates to the textbook resources. I saw a few questions in Q&A and kind of as it connects to the different responses that we saw on the discussion board. For next school year, because teachers will have a choice between Canvas and Classroom, our textbook resources will continue to remain in Clever for next year, so that it's a very clear delineation for everybody that resources are in Clever instead of, well, for this course they're here, but this course they're over there, and that subject is here. We want to remove as many barriers to instructional downtime as possible. So for next school year, textbook resources will continue to be in Clever. For the following school year, where possible, those that integrate with Canvas, we will work to integrate them. Now, not all of them do integrate, so there still may be some in Clever. But to the extent that they can, we will work to have those available in Canvas for the following school year when it is required for everyone. Next year, learning platform is required, but you have a choice as to which one you use. Okay? All right. So let's talk about how you get this Canvas course, right? You see in the sample one, now how do you get your own? So we're going to talk about two pieces of that, and then we'll model for you. You'll get a chance to create yours, and then a lot of the rest of the time is going to be seeing and doing, seeing and doing. All right, so when it comes to starting a Canvas course, we have creation and content. So let's talk about creation first. How do you get your course? There are two ways to get a course: blueprint or templates, or manually created courses. And we'll talk about more of those in detail, but those are the two main ways. Either it's pushed out to you or you start your own empty one. Now, as it relates to content, there are also two main ways to have content. The first is by pulling in some of those exemplar courses or modules from Commons into your course, regardless of how your course is created. And the second is you create the content. Perhaps there wasn't an exemplar course for your particular grade level or content area yet, or you just want to add to what was already there. And we're going to walk you through those pieces as well. But it's important to keep both of those in mind. All right. So let's talk about this first segment, how courses are created. All right. So the blueprint courses, what are they? They're really templates that have been created for you or will be created for you in August if you have a course in SchoolMax. So they are based on the courses in SchoolMax and your roster. That means if you are the primary educator, you will be the teacher in the course. If you're an additional educator, you'll also be assigned as a teacher to that course. And the students assigned to your rosters in SchoolMax will be assigned to your courses in Canvas. So a student who enrolls mid-year will be added to your roster in Canvas. So they'll appear in both places. Now, it won't be instant, but they will be. Once they appear in SchoolMax, then within about 24 hours or so, they'll appear in Canvas. Okay, so that's a really important piece to know. When you get those courses, these blueprint or template courses, they will have a basic structure through our template. It'll have a home page. It'll have some of those pre-created parent pieces on the modules page, and then some very basic structure, not necessarily content, but structure for on the modules like week 1 and so on. And we'll take a look at that. These are really best suited for instruction. That's what they're designed for. They have courses, they have students, they have a framework. Now, let's say you either don't have a course in SchoolMax or you need to create your own course for a different reason. Those are our manually created courses. These are courses created by you. They have no students attached to them. You can add people. That will show you toward the end of the session how you add people, whether it's a teacher or a student. They have no pre-existing structure or content. They are absolutely empty. And these are best for practicing features of Canvas if you want to explore, like, how do I do this, but you don't want to put it in your course. You can do it over here in what we affectionately call a sandbox. It's also a great place to preview the content from Commons. So maybe you have your blueprint that's been pushed out to you for 3rd grade math, and you see that there happens to be something in Commons for 3rd grade math. You can bring it into one of these sandbox or these manually created courses, so you can really look through it, and then you can move the pieces over to your blueprint or template course as you need them, right? So you may end up using a little bit of both, and that's okay. We really recommend, though, that when you're working with students, to the extent that you can, you're using those blueprint courses, the ones that are tied to SchoolMax. And that's mainly because if/when we get to the point where Canvas is talking back to SchoolMax for things like grades, only those blueprint courses will talk. Anything you manually create won't be able to talk to SchoolMax. So if you want that two-way connection, if we get to that point, you have to use the blueprint or template courses that were created for you. Okay. As we get in a little bit, this might make a little more sense. You don't expect to see those automatically generated courses yet, because we're rolling over into the next school year, so they won't show up in your Canvas dashboard until a little bit later this summer. Okay. All right, so whoops, not quite your turn yet. I haven't shown you how to do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and oh, good grief. I'm going to show you how to create a Sandbox course. And then I'll show you where Commons is to show you how to bring content in from there. So I'm not even worried that my presentation is like this, because I'm going to jump over to Canvas. And I am in a student view. So I'm going to jump out of that and go into teacher view. Now, this is where we talked about the you do, we do. It may be best for you to just sit and observe for a moment, because in a little bit, then you are going to have a chance to jump into Canvas and create your course and pull content in from Commons. Okay. So here I am. I'm still in that sample course. I'm going to go back to my global navigation. Remember, that's the blue one, and click the dashboard. The dashboard is usually the place where you'll come into when you come into Canvas. We went right into the course because we went in a special way. Now, the dashboard shows all the courses that you are teaching or enrolled in. It's divided into published or unpublished. Any of those courses that will be pushed out to you automatically in the fall will be down here under unpublished. And any Sandbox course that you create will be in unpublished until you specifically decide to publish it. Okay. And we'll talk about that later too. All right, so now that I'm in here, I see my dashboard, I see my course cards, and over here on the right, I see a button for Start a New Course. So I'm going to click my Start a New Course button and give it a name. And I am going to call this Sandbox on keyboard. I'm going to call this Sandbox, and I'll just for this do math. Sandbox July 14th, just because I have something. Okay. And I'm going to leave it private, and I'm going to leave this unchecked. I don't have to worry about any of the other options here, and click Create Course. I just put create course, gave it a name. I will ask today that you don't name yours Sandbox July 14th. Give it a name. You can include your name in it. You can include today's date, but make it something a little less generic so we don't have a ton of them called Sandbox 14, right? And now you can see I have home. I have all these other segments here. I do have modules somewhere in here. There it is. And I see that I have all these little eyes here. These tell me that either there's nothing there or they've been hidden from students. Because this is a Sandbox grant course, nothing has been hidden. We'll talk about course navigation later too. All right, so right now I have an absolutely empty modules page. You can see I'm on my modules page. And I want to explore Commons and see if there's either an exemplar course, or if there's not, then I'm going to bring in the template that's appropriate for my level. So I have my course started. Then I go to import from Commons. I know I kept saying Commons and I haven't really explained what it is. It's just the place that Canvas has created to collect and to curate resources for you. And in the fall, this is where you will be able to go and see all the different resources that have been provided to you from within Prince George's County Public Schools. Okay. So I see two things here. I see these featured ones with the blue label on. I have two of those. I have the exemplar, the template for elementary and the template for middle. And I am going to just click on the template for middle. And really it's middle high school, it's grades 6 through 12. I get a little preview of what this template looks like. You can see there the welcome, the parent resources, and then just sort of placeholders to provide that general structure that we saw in the sample. If I want to see if there are any exemplar courses for my content area, for example, here is immersion kindergarten French. If I happen to be a kindergarten French immersion teacher, I can import this whole course by clicking on that and reviewing the content here. For today, we're all going to just do the template that's appropriate for us because it just makes it easier. So I'm going to go back to search. And I'm going to go back to that 6 through 12 template. And everything in Commons works the same way. You open it to preview it. And then over on the right, we have our import/download button. And we'll just click that button and it says, great, which course do you want to put it in? And here is the one we just made, Sandbox, July 14th. Select the course, click import into course. And I have this lovely green box here letting me know it worked, but I want to make sure it works. So how do I check? I can go back to my dashboard, or on the global navigation, I can use courses. And it just shows me a quick list of my courses. Same thing that I see on the dashboard, just a slightly different way to present. I'm going to click here, July 14th, same class that I just made, was empty, but now it has the template that was provided by Curriculum and Instruction. There is the home page, and my modules now have some content and some basic structure. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to the presentation and we'll go back to find our slide here. But we're going to give you a couple minutes to, one, start a new course, and two, go into Commons and pull in the template for your content area. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay. We have about 5 minutes on the clock. We'll go ahead and start that. And you can jump over there and get that started. Give it go through and watch today and see what you think, and then you can make your decision knowing what you think is best for that age group. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Monica, and she's going to take us through the next section of the course.
Okay, so we're going to get ready to talk a little bit more about the course. I'm going to share my screen. Now you've had a chance to create your Sandbox course, but now we want to talk about what information goes into that course. We're going to spend some time talking about the Canvas course elements. Okay, so the first thing that we have is modules, and modules allow you to organize your content so you can guide the learners through the course. You had a chance to see in Canvas when we went through that sample course, you clicked onto a page and then you were able to click next at the bottom and go to the next part of the lesson. When you were in looking at the ESOL or the social studies courses, those were modules. And the modules were organized either by a unit or a cycle. So modules help you organize, and we'll get into a little bit more about modules in a few moments. You also have pages. Pages provide the content and the resources within the course. Assignments allow you to give assignments to students where they can submit work back to you. So that's what you would use your assignments for. Discussions, you had an opportunity to participate in a discussion board. So students can share their point of view or their thoughts around a particular topic using discussions. And then lastly, quizzes. That's where we'll go to assess students, to assess their learning. So we will not get into how to build a quiz today. However, you will have an experience with being able to take a quiz a little later in this course. So let's talk a little bit more now about the course homepage. So the course homepage is the first page that your students are going to see when they enter your course. So you want that page to be welcoming and inviting. You want it to provide information to your students about the course. So let's look at some things, some elements that we might want to include on our course homepage. We want to make sure that we have a welcome message, so some type of welcome statement to your students. You want to provide course information, so maybe an overview of what it is they're going to learn in that course. Because remember, our students are going to have multiple courses. So we want to make sure that when they click into your course, they know, oh, this is the social studies course, and this is what I'm going to learn this year. You may also want to provide teacher information, just a brief introduction to who you are. Next, navigation. How are they going to navigate throughout your course? So maybe you tell them about the modules and how they're organized within your course. And then lastly, resources. Are there any important places that you want them to have quick links that they can jump directly to? Then having those on the resource in the resource section on the homepage may be helpful to your students, as well as when we have families being able to access. So let's take a look at the homepage that we had in our student sample course, just to make sure that we all are recognizing what the homepage is. So this was the one that we had in the student sample. You'll notice that we have our header, and you'll notice that the header is not necessarily that same header that you brought in on the template. So it is possible to change the header and create your own custom header. And on our resource document, we included for you a template if you wanted to use in order to build your own header. You'll notice we have our welcome. We also used what's called text headers. In order to separate the content, we used images. And then down at the bottom, we used buttons as our resources and quick links. So now let's talk about how do we actually build that in our Sandbox course. So remember, as Megan told you at the beginning of our session, the format is we're going to show you first, and then we're going to give you time to work on your own homepage. So I'm going to first model how to get to my homepage in my Sandbox course. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard, and that's on the left-hand side on that blue global navigation. So I'm going to click dashboard, and I'm going to find the course that Megan created. I noticed she created a Sandbox course, and she added me to that Sandbox course. And again, we'll show you how to add people later on in this session. So I'm going to select the course that I would like to edit. And here's the information that I brought in, but I want to change this. I want to make some changes to this content. So up in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to select Edit. And it brings me to this box again. And Megan mentioned this box earlier when we learned about replying to a discussion. This is our rich content editor box. You're going to see this same box whether you're on pages, in discussions, in quizzes. So this is something that you will become very familiar with when using Canvas. When I come down to my welcome section, maybe I want to add, again, a statement. Oh, and I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to type it all. I'm going to just do a little copy and paste so you don't have to watch me type. And I see that my cursor is blinking red and it looks like it's 18 point font. So I do have some basic formatting options that I can change the size of my font. I can change the color and put my information in. Well, don't need that number. So I have that information there as well. All right. Now, maybe instead of this text of welcome to, and in the course name, maybe I want to put some type of image here. So I could take this out, or even if I leave it here, I could add the name of the course, but I think I'm going to take it out and put an image instead. So here in this section, when I want to add an image, I have two ways that I can do that. I can come across my navigation menu and find the picture icon, and then click the drop down next to it and select upload image. Or I can go to the insert menu and choose image. So both of them will take me to the same place. Once I come here to the upload image box, I could drag and drop my image right here. I can use Unsplash, which is a copyright friendly site that I could search for images from within. Or if I have a URL of an image that I know I want to include, I could simply paste the URL. You'll notice that in no matter what option I choose, I still see the attributes section that allows me to add alternative text. And that means to describe what that image is. And why would I want to do that? One is because it makes it more accessible for my students. So if I have a student or someone who is going through this course and they're using a screen reader, this alt text will describe what the image is that is on the page. But for this example, I'm going to go back to my computer and I'm going to click here because I have an image that I want to bring in. So I have a welcome sign that I would like to use. So again, there's my welcome. And I can say that this is my welcome image. And then I can click to submit. And it's going to come in on my page. Right? So it came in, it's a little bigger than what I want it to be. So I can select it so that I can see the boxes at the end. And then I can simply drag it in and resize it to the size that I would like it to be. Right, so we've added an image, we've added some text. Now I have a course description that I need to include. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to include my my class description here. Right. And I'm going to take out this text that I have. And again, I'm going to just put in some information. And you might get this from just what you already have from your content area. Okay, so again, I can change the color and font of my font choices. So sometimes it doesn't like to do that initially, I'm finding, so I might have to. Okay, well, right now it's not bringing it in, but you've seen how we can do that before with changing the color. So it might just be taking a minute. And then as I come down, maybe I want to have that teacher section. So maybe I want to about the teacher. And I want to make this a header. So instead of paragraph, I might choose for this to be some type of heading. I can say maybe header 3. Maybe I'll do that for my class description as well so that everything is exactly the same. And instead of typing information, I might want to include a video here. And Megan showed us earlier how we can easily include a video. So again, we can do that from our little video icon next to the picture one or from insert. And I can go down to media. Either one will get me there. And just like Megan showed us earlier, if I have to turn off my camera from WebEx. And then I can click start recording. It will take a picture. And then you can begin to introduce yourself and say who you are and welcome your students. When you're done, you click finish. And then you can give it a name just so that it's easier for you to find it if you need to. So this might be my teacher intro and click save. And then it comes right in on my page. Right, so we have image, we have text headers, we've added some text, a video, and then we were provided with some buttons that are already here. Now, depending on which template you have, your buttons may look a little differently, but we have some things that are already here and they're already linked for us to particular pages or sections within the template. But if these don't necessarily work for you or you need to change the look of them, again, we've provided a template for you on that resource document, but you can link images by selecting the image and then coming up to the icon that looks like a chain. And if I click on it, it's going to tell me exactly where that particular image is being linked to. So I can see it's already being linked to a section that has the course syllabus. If I wanted to remove it, I could say remove the link. And if I wanted to add a new link, I can click on the drop down and say, do I want this to be a course link or do I want it to go to an external site? So either one. If it's a course link, the nice thing is within Canvas, it's automatically going to open up for me all the different sections within the course. And then if there was a particular page, when I click on modules, I can drill down for it to go to a particular page that I want this to link to. Okay, so I have those options as well. So that's another nice feature. I don't see the syllabus page here, so I'm just going to start. I'm going to link it right there to that. Once I'm done, I have to click save at the bottom. And now my course page, home page is done and it's complete. If I wanted to see what it would look like for the students, I can always click on Student View up at the top, as long as the page has been published. Not your course, but the page. And then I can see this is what it looks like for my students when they come in. So it's going to be your turn next for you to go ahead and edit your course homepage and to add at least, you don't have to add in all the information about your class description, but maybe add in at least a welcome statement, or you may choose to add in a video for the About the Teacher section. Remember, this is your practice time. So try editing the homepage. Again, I'm going to show you how we got there. I was on my dashboard. I selected the course that I created, that Sandbox course. And then as soon as I come in, I'm right on that homepage and I selected edit. So I'm going to give you some time to now do the Your Turn activity for homepage. So you have about 5 minutes to go ahead and work. If we could all return back to WebEx so that we can continue. I'm going to release a poll just to see how we did with editing our homepage and adding a welcome message. So you should see, hopefully, a poll that's asking if you were able to complete the activity or if you need to keep working on it at another time, more practice. All of the answers are okay. Give you a few seconds to just answer that poll. I'm going to close the poll in a few seconds so that we can continue learning about modules. All right, so I can see that we're really kind of split. We have some who were able to complete the activity, some who want to keep working on it on their own, and some who need practice. And then we have a very small percentage that is just following along. So that is all completely fine. Thank you for responding and letting us know where you are at this point in time. So we are now going to continue moving forward and talking about modules. So I talked about modules a little earlier, but now I want to dig in a little deeper about what modules are. It allows you to organize the content so that you're guiding your learners through a course. But one way that I like to think of modules is I like to think of it as a folder or a container that contains everything that you're going to need for your unit or your topic that you're delivering to your students. So that folder or that container might contain your lesson pages that you provide to your students, the presentations that you are going to share that you want them to be able to go through, any assignments that you're going to distribute to them, the work that you want to collect from your students, and the quizzes that you have to assess their learning. And lastly, discussions. If you want them to be able to have collaborative conversation around a particular topic, or links to external resources. So all of those things can be contained in the module. And we'll take a look at a module just like we did in our student course before. Oops, excuse me. Let's see if we can. Panel is, there we go. All right, so I'm going to jump over real quick and show us in our course where we had the modules. So we're all on the same page. So again, here under modules, this is where you saw the elementary sample and you saw everything that they wanted to include. Same for social studies, all of the presentations, the assignments, all of that was contained within that module. So again, when you're thinking about creating your modules, setting up a structure for your module is going to be very important. You want to plan how to organize the module in your course. So do you want to organize it by a unit or by chapter? Or do you want to organize it by a topic? Or maybe even by a time frame, like week? The same type of thing that you may have done in Google Classroom when you were organizing your content this past school year, you may want to consider how do you want to organize it for your content. And that may vary from one person to the next based on your content, based on your students, and just how it works best for you. So it could even be a combination of all of those choices. But as you're thinking about your plan, one thing that we highly recommend is that you establish a naming convention. So make sure that you have something that is a naming convention that is going to be consistent throughout your course. So we recommend either using unit or chapter or week and then putting a number behind it so that you can easily say when that was, week one or chapter one, and then including the topic for that particular unit or chapter. So you can see in the example, we have Unit 1, two-digit addition as our sample. But whatever you do, just remember to be consistent throughout the course because this is going to help our students and our families learn how to navigate the content within your course. Again, on your resource handout, we have included a course organizer that may be helpful to you when you're planning out your modules. So now let's dig in and see how do we create the modules. So again, I'm going to go back to my Sandbox course. And this time I'm going to select modules. And again, you'll have time to do this. I'll model first and then you will have time to create a module. When I come to the modules page, I'm going to see some modules that are already here for me. This was part of that template that we brought in. You do not have to use the sample module where it has unit number down here if it does not go with the structure that you are setting up. This was just put here to give guidance on how you could set up a potential module. There should be parent resources, so you do want to leave a parent resource section. And the section for the teacher module and not to publish, that's information for you. So I'm going to start from scratch and create a module because I want to have one that I'm starting completely new. So I'm selecting that blue module button in the upper right-hand corner. I have to give my module a name. So I have unit 1, I'll use this one right here, and I will bring that in. I do have options. We're not going to go into this too much, but I do have options that I can lock a module until a particular date and time. So if I don't want it released into next month, I could set that. I also have the option to add prerequisites. So if there's something that you must complete before doing this module, I could add that in as well. All right, but I'm just going to create just a basic module and click Add Module. Anytime you create a module, it's always going to put it down at the bottom. So here is my module that has been created for me. And then I want to go ahead and I want to add in a text header because a text header is going to allow me to do something like what we see here with the week 1, week 2 type of thing where I can section out that unit. Maybe it's chapter 1, chapter 2. So to add something into my module, I click on the plus symbol that's right there in that container module box. I have to tell it what it is I want to add because this is where I'll go to add assignments, quizzes, pages. All of these things can be added into my module from here. I'm going to select text header. So when I select text header, this is going to be week 1. So I'm going to select week 1. And those things are coming up because I've already done them before previously in another course. So that's why the text is already there. You probably will have to type it. I do have an option if I want to indent that in, and I'll show you a little later how I can do that if I'm not doing it from here. But I'll click Add Item. And so now it's put my text header within my module. If I was ready for my students to see this particular module, I have to publish it in order for them to see it. So if I were to come up right now, you'll notice none of these are published. So that means my students can't see any of these items that are here. When I select the circle, it's going to change from being grayed out and it changed to green with a check mark. That indicates that that module is published for my students to be able to view. All right. So I've now published my module and my students will be able to see this content. So we're going to go back and now give you a chance to create a module. Think about one of your subject areas. Think about how you may organize it or how you already did it, maybe in, oh, missing my your turn activity, I see. How you may have done it in Google Classroom. And I want you to create a module and give it a name. So we'll give you, again, about 3 to 5 minutes to go ahead and complete that. Let me find my timer so that I can set that. All right, so now we've created a module, we have our container, but we still don't have any content yet. So let's now talk about creating pages and what pages are. So pages are where you're going to add that content and those educational resources that are part of your lesson, but they don't necessarily belong in an assignment that you would give students. So a page might be used for, let's say, maybe for your lesson content, such as your objectives, the overview of your lesson, or just providing some background information about the lesson. You might put that on your page. You might have a presentation that the students could go back and review that provides some of that lesson content that you typically do in front of the class, but you might also want to include it here for them to go back and use as a resource on your page. Also, up as I'm talking about a presentation, resources such as your presentations, your videos, your documents, those are things that also can be included on a page, but it's not something that you want the students to submit. It's just things that you want them to be able to view. So think of it like a web page with all the important information that students are going to need to know about the topic. So again, like we did before, I want to model what that would look like. So I'm going to jump back because you've already seen some pages. You had experience with the page when we created our home page for the course. That was a page. Also, when you were looking at our student sample course, you saw lots of pages. And I'll jump to one that we saw here for social studies. So here is a page, and we're going to actually recreate this one, I believe. Here is a page. It has objectives, guiding questions, and it has a resource for the students with the presentation. All right. So that's what we're going to try and create a page in our Sandbox course. So again, I'm going to go back to my Sandbox. I'm going to come back to modules because I want to put my page inside of that module that I just created. So I have my unit down here, my module. And to add a page, I'm going to click on the plus symbol just like we did to add the text header. But this time I'm going to select page. It's going to show me any pages I already have available in my course. So if I needed to add it into a different module or I created the page somewhere else, I could bring it in here. However, I want to create a brand new page. So I'm going to click create page and I'm going to put in my page title. Now, just like we recommended for the modules, to have a consistent naming convention, you may also want to do that with your lesson content. So we have Unit 1, Lesson 1, and this is Thinking Like a Historian presentation. Now for this one, because I don't, you know what, I'm gonna add it here so we can see. So I'm click add item. You can see how it comes in, and it comes right in under week 1. But let's say I want to indent this in so that the students can really see that it's under week 1. To do that, I can select the 3 dots. And anytime I select the 3 dots, there's more things that I can do. So I can choose to increase the indent right there and add it in. I can also, I saw questions in the Q&A, can I create a module then add it into another course? Absolutely. So if you do all this work and you say, oh, I want to have this in my other section, I could add the whole module by clicking on the 3 dots and saying to copy it to another course that I have. All right, so you can build it out in one place and then move it over to another place. All right, now that I have my page created, I want to edit. So I can click on the page title, and that takes me into the page. Once I have the page open, the next step would be for me to click on edit, just like we did before on our course homepage. And here's that same rich content editor where I can add in my content. So again, I'm going to cheat and add in some content real quick for us. Yes, I think I am. Let's see. Hopefully. Let me try that again. All right, there we go. All right, so here I have my content here. You can see that it has a header. If I don't want information to be bolded, I can, fix that as well. It has my objectives, my guiding questions, my directions that I want the students to follow. So all of that information is here for my students. That's my lesson content. Maybe, or some of my lesson content. Maybe I also want to add in a presentation that I want them to be able to use as a resource. So I want to walk you through something else that we can do in this rich content editor. And that is we can add in things that we may have in Google Drive for students to be able to view. So think about it as in Google Classroom, where you had things that you only wanted students to have view-only rights. I could do something similar here in Canvas. All right, so I'm going to put my cursor where I want it to go. So I want it to come down here. This is where I'm going to embed my presentation. This time, I'm going to go all the way across, and I don't see it because of the size of my screen. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots, but you may not have to, and go to more. And I'm looking for this plug. This means I can add in some other apps. So I'm going to choose the plug. You see, I could bring in a YouTube video if maybe I had a resource that I wanted them to watch. This is how I could bring in YouTube. But I have a presentation I want to add into this. Now, if it's the first time that you are doing this, Google's going to ask you to authorize it. All right, and I know some of us saw that when we were in the sample course. It's going to say, can I view your files and all those things? And you have to say yes in order to bring in that content. Our students will also have to authorize in order to be able to view.
See when I get home.
I can ask them to make sure we're all muted. I think somehow we got unmuted. So I'm selecting the Google Apps plug, and now you see it's showing all of my folders that I have in Drive. Just like in Classroom, if I'm bringing something in, I have to be the owner of that particular file. So if it's something that the content area has provided to me, maybe curriculum instruction has provided a presentation, you'll probably have to make a copy of it for yourself so that you are the owner to bring it in. So then I can search. Okay. And so when I search, it brings up anything that has that information in. And here is the presentation that I would like to bring in for US history. So I'm going to select the presentation. And then I have two options. How do I want it to appear for my students? Do I want to embed it on the page or do I want to link to it? Now, that one of the benefits of Canvas is that I can embed it on the page so my students don't have to open up separate links all over the place. They can just look at it right here within the page. So I'm going to select embed, but you do have the option to link as well. All right, so now here is my presentation that I was able to bring in. The students will be able to navigate right through it, and I can see all of my content. And while I'm here on the page, I want to point out one other important feature. I told you earlier about images and accessibility and adding alt text for your images. I want to point out that anytime you're using the Rich Content Editor, you can also check to see if your page is accessible or if there are things that you might need to fix. And you can do that by clicking on this little person icon, which is called the accessibility checker, within that Rich Content Editor. And it will go, and yay for me, I have no accessibility issues that were detected. But if there was something that I had done incorrectly, maybe I had a table and didn't have any headers for my table, or maybe I used text headers that were not in the proper hierarchy of how I listed them, it might appear here in this section. So know that you can always easily check to make sure that your page is accessible just by clicking on that little person icon. So as I come down, one other thing that's here, if I want to add it to the students' to-do list, so just kind of, again, like Classroom, they have a to-do list. So if I say this is something you have to make sure you do and look at this page, I could check that box there as well. And if I'm ready for this to be available for my students, I select Save and Publish. Again, this is saving and publishing this page. If I'm not ready and I'm still working on it, and this is a work in progress, I can just click Save. My students do not see it until I come back and publish. All right, so this is what my page looks like. If I go back to my modules, I can see that even though my module is published, this particular page is not published. So I have not published that page. And one last thing that I wanted to show before I give you an opportunity to work on your own page and add some content onto it is sometimes, especially it may be for, you'll notice with our ESOL sec module that we did in our sample course, or maybe for some of our elementary courses, or you may just want to use it. You can add emojis to your titles of your pages or your units to draw your students' attention to particular items. Now, again, just like the naming convention, if you choose to use emojis, try and be consistent in how you're using them. So I'm just going to show as an example, and we do have the resources again for you on that resource document. But I happen to have an extension called Joy Pixels. So I'm actually going to first open up the page that I would like to add that emoji to the title. So I'm clicking on those three dots. And I'm selecting edit because I want to be able to edit the title. I'm putting my cursor where I want that emoji to go. And then I'm going to come up to my extension, which is Emojis by Joy Pixel, but you could use other Emojipedia and some other resource. I can search for particular emojis that I'm looking for, or this one right here of the computer is fine with me. So I'm going to select that. It automatically makes a copy of it for me. And when I come back to my title, I should be able to paste it. And I can put that emoji in. So again, that might just help my students that anytime you see that computer, that's, you know, it's going to be a presentation on there that you need to look at on that particular page. And I can click update. Oh, and I put it at the end as well didn't want that part. All right. So that was just an extra tidbit there with the emojis. You do not have to use it. We just wanted to share that you can, and that is something that is available to you. But what I do want you to do is to now do the your turn activity. I want you to create a page. I want you to name it lesson content, or you can name it something, whatever else that would work best for you if you have something in mind. And just add some text on a page. It could just be hello, something simple. And then embed something from Drive. Find something that you own, whether it's a document, a PDF, presentation, something that you own that you would want to bring in onto the page, and click Save. I'm going to go ahead and have you start working. If someone needs to see how we got to that page part again, I will just demo that while some of us are working. So again, back on that modules page in our Sandbox course, I went to the module I created and I clicked on that plus symbol. And then I selected page and create page. And then I give my page a name and click add item. Once you do that, you have to click on the page in order to be able to edit it. So that would let me get into that edit page. Okay. So I will let everyone work on your page. Stop sharing and let Michelle take over so that she can talk to us about assignments.
Thank you so much, Monica. And we're going to now talk about assignments. So Monica introduced you all to pages. Now we're going to get into the fun part of Canvas and how your students can truly interact with assignments. So assignments include quizzes, graded discussions, and online submissions, which can be files, images, text, URLs, as well as our wonderful Google Docs. Assignments in Canvas can be used to challenge students' understanding and help assess their understanding by using a variety of media. The assignments page shows students all the assignments they are expected to complete, as well as the due date and the time in which their assignments are due, as well as how many points each assignment is worth. Okay, so I have for you an assignments overview, just explaining what assignments are. Again, you can create them to be graded or ungraded, or you can also create them as specific assignments, quizzes, and the cool thing is you can have discussions which you can grade or not grade, just to see where students are, check their understanding, or just generate that cool discussion atmosphere within your course, okay? And we have a screenshot of just what the assignments page looks like. I'm going to show you how to begin building your assignments within Canvas. So before I do that, I have a sample assignment that I built before our class, just to show you what the finished results will look like. I have the title of my assignment, my directions. I embedded a presentation, as well as a Google Doc that my students will actually type in and turn in within Canvas. So I'm going to show you how I did this. Before I put the assignment in Canvas, I planned it out on my course planner sheet You all have an example of this template in the resources that were shared at the beginning of the course, at the beginning of our session. And for me, I'm a visual person and I have to write everything down. I always have paper and pen, but this template really helps me plot out my thoughts before I put it into my Canvas course. So this template was shared with you all. I even include the links that I'm going to use in the course just so I can have that one place where I can see what my kids are going to do before I load it into Canvas. And so I'm just going to steal this and walk you through how to create an assignment within Canvas. So I'm going to go to the course that Megan created for us. Monica already showed you how to add a page. So now I'm going to continue to build upon that module that she shared, that she created. All right. So I'm going to click on my plus sign. Now in Canvas, there are times when there's more than one way to do something. One way to create an assignment is by clicking on the plus sign that is a part of that module. That makes the most sense right now since we are showing you all how to create modules, pages, and now assignments. Another way that you can add an assignment is by clicking on the assignments link. But I'm not going to go that way. It's going to get you to the same place. I want to be consistent with our planning in our session. So I'm going to click the plus sign. I'm going to add assignment and I'm going to create an assignment. I'm going to give my assignment a name. Now remember, I plotted this out already on my planning guide, so I'm going to steal it from here because I don't want you all seeing me type and make all the mistakes I make when I'm trying to type. All right. I can deal with the indentation later. That's not important right now. And I'm going to click Add Item. So now I am going to click on Evaluating Sources for Reliability to begin editing my assignment. So from here, if I wanted to publish, I could, but I'm going to wait. I want to build everything and then publish last. So I'm going to click the Edit button. We already have a title. And now I can type my directions. I could add my resources to the rich content editor. So I'm going back to my planning guide and I'm going to steal and show you how to add these things. All right. So I want my students to watch a video. I'm just going to click on link options to steal this link and show you how to embed this link. Again, this is just a placeholder for me. So I'm going to go to the cord. Remember that plug that Monica showed? If I click on that, I can click view all for all the apps, but I know I want to go to YouTube. So I'm going to choose YouTube and I'm going to paste in that link and I'm going to choose embed. All right. So I have directions. Let me just put directions in front so my students know these are the directions for this assignment. I want them to watch this video. And then I want them to add some notes to their Cornell Notes Google Doc. Okay. Now, I'm going to get rid of this. Again, this was for me when I was planning. I just added this embed here for my own self when I was planning. I don't need that right now. All right. The good thing about assignments is I can add points. You can add as many points as you like. This is an assignment, so I'm going to keep this here for assignment group. You can choose how you want the grade to be displayed. Points is easy for me, so I'm going to keep it on points. If you don't want it to count towards the final grade, you can check that, but I do want it to count, so I'm going to leave it unchecked. Now, this next part, submission type, is important. I'm going to click the drop down. We have 3 ways that students can submit their assignments within Canvas. Online will give them a rich content editor in which they can type a response to whatever you put here in the rich content editor in terms of the instructions, okay? So that's the online piece. If you want them to turn it in on paper, then you choose that option. External tool is what I am choosing for this particular assignment because I want to add my external tool, my Google external tool to this assignment. So the next thing I need to do is come down here to the find box. I don't know the link offhand, so I need to search. So I'm going to click find. And all the external tools that have been added to Canvas are going to show up as options. Okay, so you see we have quite a few external tools for our students to access for their assignments. For this particular activity, I want the Google Drive Cloud assignment. So I'm going to select it, and it's going to open my Google Drive. Now, sometimes it may take a little while. When that happens, close the X and do it again. I lucked out. Today it's being my friend, and it brought it up quickly. If you know the name of the assignment, you can search for it. Now I have quite a few Cornell note templates. And I see the one that I want to use, so I'm going to go ahead and select it. If I didn't know the name, then I could just scroll through and select the folder in which that particular document is stored. But I knew, so here it is. So I'm going to choose Submit. And I'm going to choose Select. So now the link to that particular Google Drive document has been added to my assignment. I am not going to have this load in a new tab. Now, there are different external tools that we can use where this feature is ideal. For the sake of this example, I want my student to keep it to complete the assignment directly within Canvas and turn it in. The cool thing about this particular submission type with Google is my students are going to get their own copy of the document. Just like in Google Classroom, we have the option where we can have the students view only or have them edit the doc or make a copy for them. Canvas will automatically make a copy for the students to complete on their own within this particular assignment. So you don't have to worry about making a copy. And I'm going to show you on the flip side what it looks like for the students momentarily. All right. Next, let's talk about submission attempts. I like to give my students chances to get things right. So I'm going to leave it up to unlimited. But if you choose the drop down, you can select limited and then type or select the number of attempts that the student has. Okay. I'm going to leave it at unlimited for now. Assign is where we get to differentiate. So if I had students in this class, I can choose who would receive this assignment. I don't have any students, so right now I'm just going to click it on, keep it on everyone. We're going to keep it moving. You can choose a due date, how long it's available from and to. I'm going to leave it without the date, but you can, if you click on the calendar, choose when the assignments are due. Okay? All right. So I'm going to choose save. And before I publish, I like to just look at everything, make sure everything is here the way I want it to be. Now, I cannot look at the student view right now in Canvas. I'm going to get an error, so I'm not going to do that. But you do see this is my Cornell Notes template that my students will be able to type directly in and turn in within Canvas. Oh, I want to get rid of this. That was for my planning. So I'm going to click, get this out of the way. Move. Can't see. I'm going to click edit assignment settings because I want to get rid of that. I don't want that to be a part of my instructions for my students. That was for me. All right. Boom. Really? One by one? All right, boom. It's gone. I'm happy with the instructions. So now I am ready to publish. I'm going to click Save and Publish. And now you see I have a new option. I have a speed grader option. Because this is an assignment, the speed grader option is now available. Because I published this assignment, once my students go in and complete this, I can use the speed grader to grade their assignments, which is a quick way to grade students' assignments within Canvas. But before we go into the student side and looking at the grading, I want to go back to my module because there's some things I want to do to make sure I'm consistent with how this module looks. So I'm going to scroll down and I am going to give it the same naming convention as we've been using. So in order to edit this outside name, I'm going to click on the three dots and I'm going to choose Edit. And I'm going to call it exactly what we have, Unit 1. Lesson 1, evaluating sources. I'm happy with that. If I want to also add an emoji that represents an assignment, I can do the same thing by going to my Joy Pixels extension, and I'm just going to choose the laptop. It copied for me. Great. I'm going to go back. It's already here at the end. So I can just cut it and put it at the beginning, put my little space. And I'm going to now, I think she indented one. Because it's an assignment, I'm going to indent 2. Maybe I need to indent one more. Okay, boom. Now I'm good. So now my assignment looks like the rest of the pages within the unit. And let's look at what the students see. So I'm going to come over here. And this is what my students saw. You know, the power of TV magic. So the student was able to add her name, the date, the topic, and whatever the notes were. And this is the speed grader, kind of fast forward, and I can pull this up and show you again, but just to show you what the grading page looks like, I can give my student a grade. In addition, I can also give her feedback. I don't know. You get the gist. Boom, boom, boom. Then I can click submit. And my student will get this comment. I can also come down. I can add an attachment. I can give my student a video response, or I can add some other media. Okay. So maybe you want to give your student video comment. You can do that as well. If I click these arrows, I can go through and pick the next student. See, I did this earlier. I gave him a grade. I gave him a comment. We arrow to go to the next students and so on and so forth. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my course, the correct course. When I click on speed grader, there are no students in this particular, I'm sorry, this is the one. Okay. Oh, Kimberlyn did it. Yay. So when I clicked on speed grader, it pulled up my student, didn't realize she completed the work. She put her name. I can give her a grade. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever. Great job. Hopefully you can use this in your other classes to take notes. Okay. All right. So I can, very good. I could also annotate if I wanted to zoom in on something that she focused on in the document, then I can come and add annotation to her doc and she'll see whatever my annotation is. So, see, this is why I have the TV magic. All right, you get the gist of how this works. So it's a great way for you to interact with your students, provide additional feedback, comments on assignments that they have turned in, okay? So I'm going to click submit and my student will see the comments to that particular assignment. So I just introduced you to assignments. Again, to create an assignment, I'm going to go back to our course. All you need to do is click on the plus sign. I'm going to add assignment, so I'm going to choose create assignment. Give it a title. Click add item. I'm going to now actually click on the title of that assignment. I'm going to choose the edit button. I will type my directions here. If I have additional media to add, I can click on that app. Maybe I want to add from my Google Apps. Okay, and let's see, what do I have? I think I got something over here in Canvas. All right, I'm going to choose my Canvas folder. And here we go. I'm going to choose this Cornell Notes presentation. And I'm going to choose embed. All right, so you saw the authorization popped up, but because I've already authorized Google, it went through that process pretty quickly. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, perfect. Okay. And now, if I want to give it points, I can. If I want to add an external tool, because we're talking about Google, I can go ahead and do that. I'm going to show again. I'm just going to click on the Google Drive Cloud assignment. It's going to make me choose that Google assignment or doc, excuse me. So I'm going to go back to my Canvas folder. And I'm just going to choose. Okay, boom, again, just so you see how it works. It's going to make a copy for every student in my class. They can have unlimited. It's going to everyone. This time I'll give a due date. We'll just say September 30th. And I'm going to choose save and publish. So my presentation is here and the actual assignment that the students have to complete is here. Are there any questions or anything needs to be seen again in terms of how to add an assignment to our module within Canvas? So I'm going back to my module. I am going to be consistent. I'm going to move it over, increase my indent. One more time. All right. And we know it's an assignment because we have the paper with the pen. Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about, let me just make sure I don't forget anything for now. We talked about grading, we talked about our assignment. Let's talk about adding people to your course. So maybe you want to add a co-teacher to your course, or maybe you have a partner, a department chair, somebody, anyone you want to add to your course. To add people to your course is very easy. We're going to come here to the left side navigation, and you see we have all of these options. We have home, announcements, syllabus, and so forth. We're going to scroll down to people. And with people, this means these are the people who we allow to interact in our course. These are the roles that we can assign people we invite to our course. Now, if we click the drop down, we see the options we have are student, teacher, teacher assistant, designer, observer. Okay. In terms of the people you may want to add, think about your colleagues. Maybe you have, departments and you want everyone in your department to join your course or your grade level team, whatever the case may be. This is where you would come to add those people to your course. Right now, it's 4 people in this class. 3 of us are designers, 1 is a teacher. The difference between a designer and a teacher is designers get to create everything that a teacher creates, but teachers actually get to grade student work. Okay. So if I want to add a colleague to my course, I need to search for them based on their PGCPS email, and it has to be correct. If not, the system will not be able to find them. So I'm just going to pull up a colleague that I work with often. Hopefully I spelled her name correctly. And I need to determine what role I want her to have. So she could be another teacher in my course. She could be a teacher's assistant, designer, or observer. We typically work with teachers, designers, and students. We like to be added to some of our colleagues' classes as students because we get to see things that the teacher may not necessarily be able to see. For example, with the Google implementation, as a student, we can see things and share knowledge with our colleagues to test things out. Okay. So for this example, I just want to add her as another teacher to my class. She could be a co-teacher with me. Because I am in this course, it's only going to allow me to add her to this particular course. All right. So I'm going to click next, and it's going to say, yes, the following user is ready to be added to the course. If I spelled her name incorrectly, it would be a red no. And so you would have to go back and enter the person's information correctly. So next, I'm going to choose add user. And so now I see it says pending. What will happen next is Ms. Nyarko is going to get an email invitation to join this course. If she doesn't open it, no worries. The next time she comes into Canvas, she's going to see an invitation to join the course as a teacher. So she can accept it and then have access to the course. So this is one way you can add people to your course. Maybe you want to add your department chair as a teacher or a designer so you guys can plan together. Okay. So just a thought. And let me pause before I move to the next thing. The next thing we're going to talk about is course navigation and just getting ready to publish your class. So let's just go back to our module. Maybe this module is perfect, is exactly the way we want it to be. It's perfect. We're ready for it. So if I'm ready to publish the entire course, I'm going to click on Home. And you see under course status, we have unpublished, and publish. Right now, our course is not published. If I want to publish, I can click on the publish button, and this black circle with the check will become green. And the course will be published for my students to see all the assignments and pages and modules that we have published within this particular course. Maybe before you publish a course, you want to clean up the course. maybe you don't want to have all of these things visible for your students. So a good way to clean up and get rid of things you don't need is by clicking on the settings button link, excuse me. So when you click on the settings link, we can click on the navigation tab, and now we can move things below to hide them, okay? So maybe I don't want my students to see Seesaw. I teach middle school. We're not going to use Seesaw. So if I click on one or two ways you can do it, I can just click and drag it below and it's gone. That easy. Maybe I don't want my students to see Ed Puzzle. Click, drag, it's gone. Pretty simple, right? I can do the same thing with new analytics. My students don't need to see analytics. That's something for me. They don't need that. So I'm going to take it off the navigation. So now it won't show up. Okay. Pretty simple, right? All I need to do now is click the save button. And those items are now gone. My students won't see them. Okay. We're not using the conferences feature in Canvas. So if I go back to settings, I don't see it over here. Oh, it's already gone. It's already disabled. I don't have to worry about it. The kids won't see it anyway. You see that little circle with the line? It means they can't see it. It won't be visible. But just so you all know, this is not an option that we're using in Canvas, so you don't have to worry about it. We will continue to have our traditional conferences the way the district wants us to meet with our parents. It won't be via Canvas. All right. I think I have covered what I was supposed to. I'm going to go back to the presentation. And we're going to give you an opportunity to add an assignment. You will have 5 minutes to create an assignment, to give it a name, a point value, and embed a document or presentation from your Google Drive, save and publish it. So I'm going to click my timer, assignment to your module. And now we are going to talk about Canvas access. So Marianne will talk to you all about that.
All right. So now you got a chance to take a look at Canvas overall. What I'm going to talk about now is about Canvas access. We did briefly talk about it in the beginning of the session. Sorry, my screen. There we go. So access to Canvas. Right now, teachers can access Canvas through Clever during the summer of 2021, and then eventually in the fall, Canvas will be available within Staff Portal. So you have that option on there. But no matter what, the students will access access Canvas through Clever. So whenever you need your students to go to Canvas, they will go into Clever and they'll see this little icon for Canvas so that they can go into your course. The next thing we're going to talk about is communication tools, where we're going to talk about announcements and inbox. For this portion, I'm going to be simply demoing. We're not going to give you time to actually practice this out because it does require students to be in your courses to receive these announcements and inbox. So just follow along as I talk about the two. So the first thing is announcements. Announcements are within a course where you can share important information and reminders for your students. Whereas an inbox is kind of like an email messaging system within Canvas, and you can send it to specific people different people, and there could be teachers or students and multiple courses at the same time. So I'm going to go into Canvas here first, and right now I'm in my dashboard, and I'm just going to show here in our sample course Sandbox that we just did, which is here at the bottom, our July 14 course, how to do an announcement. So on the left side, you'll see announcements. And right now there are no announcements because we haven't made any announcements yet, but this is what the typical setup is for an announcement. On the top, you can choose either to look at all of the announcements or look at any unread announcements. So if you have a co-teacher who put an announcement and you haven't read it yet, you can filter it out. You can also filter by the title of your announcement. So if you wanted to search for a specific announcement, you can do so here. But to create an announcement, on the top right, we're going to select the blue button that says plus announcement. Okay, giving this a moment to load. And just like when we do pages or assignments, you do need to put in a title for it. So I'm just going to put here weekly reminder. And you have the same tools, which is the rich content editor, so that you can build your announcement. So it's the same tools where you can do the font, the styles, embed any YouTube videos, and any other content. So I'm just going to do a quick build here. I like to organize things in modular ways. So I'm just going to add a little table. And this one's going to be a 2x1. And I like to insert images, so that's a little bit more fun and appealing for my students. And a reminder, this is just an announcement, so it doesn't need to be a lot of information and content on here. So on the top, from my rich content editor, I'm going to select the excuse me, the upload image. So I'm going to select that. And just like we've been showing, you can either upload from your own computer, find an image from Unsplash, but I'm going to upload one that I already have here on my desktop. I really like using Bitmojis. So I'm going to click and drag, or you can always browse from your computer, and then I'm going to select Submit. Okay, now I have this image inside my table. On the side, I can always resize it if I need to and resize my column. And on the right side, I'm going to put some information. We always like to use headers so that we know which one is the title. And I'm going to go on to the next one. And I'm going to put a bulleted list of things that I want my students to remember in this announcement. So I could say project due on Friday, field trip to the zoo is next week, turn in your permission slips, and then the last one I'll say happy birthday to Megan. It's not really her birthday, I'm just using her on here. So here I am done with my announcement. I gave some quick reminders for my students, and if I scroll down below, there are some additional options for an announcement. So you can have multiple sections for one course. This one only has one, so I have no other options, but this is where you can choose all the different sections for your course. If you want to add any attachments for your students. And below that, you have some options when it comes to announcements. So you can do delay posting. So if you're working late at night, I hope you're not, but if you wanted to schedule ahead of time when you want this announcement to post, you can select a date and time. So I select the calendar. I want this to show up on the 16th, and I know my screen's not really showing it. I could put it at a time at 9 o'clock. Make sure it is AM and select done. You also have an option where you can have allow users to comment. If you want your students and the teachers to comment to your announcement, you have the option to keep it on or off. And you can also have them, if they want to be able to comment, they need to post something before they could see other people's responses. This is an advanced feature. If you're into podcasting, there's an option to enable a podcast. And you can give option for the students to react to it by liking it. They don't have an option to dislike, just an option to like it or not. I'm going to keep those blank, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save. So now this is what it would look like. And you'll see that I had stamped for July 14th. I think I clicked the right date, but below it is so if anyone responded, they can click reply and respond. So it's very similar to how you would do a discussion post. I'm going to come back here to my home and just show really quick that you can also have an option for the announcements to pop up at the top of your home screen. Right now I don't have that. In order for you to show announcements as a pop-up at the top of your home screen, so it's easier for your students to find an announcement, they don't have to go to another page, I can go here for my course navigation and select Settings. It's depending where you left off. When you went into Settings, you may be in a different tab, but make sure you're under Course Details. When you're in here, you can scroll all the way down, and there's a little button that says More Options. When you select More Options, you'll see More Options. So automatically defaulted in every course, the ability to show announcements in a home page is turned off. So I have here on my screen, it may be a little tiny, but I'm highlighting here so you could see where it'll have a little checkbox, and this is where you turn it on so that it will appear in the home page. And automatically defaulted is the number 3, where you can choose how many announcements you want to show in the home page. If I select the drop down, you can go from 1 announcement all the way to 15. I do believe 15 is a bit excessive, but I think 3 is a good magic number, but you can choose however number of announcements to show. So I'm going to keep it at 3, and when you're done, you can go ahead and select Update Course Details. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And I'm going to come over to my home page. And now you can see recent announcements here at the top. Right now you don't see it because I have delay posted it. So when once it has reached the date that I want it to post, it will show up here for your students. So I'm just going to show, I have it in another course really quick, what it would look like. So here I have a recent announcements, and here is the week for reminder for my students, and they can just click on the announcement itself to view the full announcement. So I only had 1 announcement on there, so there's not much for them to look at it. But again, announcements is within the course. In order for you to show the announcements in your homepage, you will need to go into settings for your course. Okay. So now that I talked about announcements, now I'm going to go and take a look at inbox. So you'll notice here, announcements is in my course navigation. So it's in the white part of my navigation. On the blue side, we call this the global navigation, you'll see an option that says inbox. Again, inbox is similar to like an email messaging system within Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and select inbox. And it looks similar to the way email works. You have all lists of your messages here on the left. Whatever you select, you'll see the conversation on the right. And at the top, you can filter if you want to look at all of the messages from all your courses or specific courses, if you want to see those specific messages only. You can also filter if you want to see your inbox, unread, starred, sent, archived, and submission comments. Okay. Now, before I go into this, I just do want to preface that if you do decide to use inbox messages with your students, make sure you're sticking to one way of communication with your students. students do have their PGCPS emails where you can communicate with them, and they have inbox messages here. Try not to go back and forth between email and inbox messages to lessen the confusion for your students. It is best for you to just pick one and then stick with that. Excuse me. So to create a message, there's a little pencil icon, and if you hover your mouse over it, it says compose a new message. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it's just a simple layout where you can select a course that you want to send your message to. So I'm going to select here my M. Santos K-2 course. And instead of typing in who you want the recipient to be, I recommend selecting the little tiny address book. So when you select it, you'll see you can select everyone in your course, all of the teachers in your course, or students within your course. So let's take a look at teachers. So if I select teachers, I can select all of them or just specific teachers. I'm going to select back here. It'll take me back here to the drop down. If I select students, I can choose all of them or an individual student that I want to send a message to. If I want to send to everyone, I went back, you'll select all in and then whatever the name of your course is. So I'm going to go ahead and select that so that I can explain another feature on here. So I selected my entire course, everyone. So that's including the teachers, the co-teachers, and the students. Then below that, typical for an email is to put in a subject line. So I'll just say final project feedback. And below that, you'll see this box that says send an individual message to each recipient. Now, this is very important. If you're familiar with having a mass email to a whole group of people and you do reply all, and then everyone gets the same message and it just keeps going and going and going. With this option, if you click this box, this message will send to everyone, but each person will get it individually. So for example, if I send this to my whole class and Jack wanted to respond, it will just come to me and not everyone. So I'm going to keep that checked, and then I'll show you more specifically if you're still not sure what I'm talking about. In here, you can just go ahead and start typing your message. You can attach any documents that you have by clicking on the paperclip, and you can also record an audio or video comment. So also to think about on the students that you have, maybe typing a message or a wordy message may not be the best way to communicate with your students. Maybe doing a recording may be helpful. So this recording button here is very similar to what you would see in the rich content editor. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Give it a moment to load. Here we go. Hi, everyone. And I can just start recording, wait for it to count down, say, good morning, boys and girls. Don't forget, I have sent your feedback in the project for the final project. Make sure to do this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll select finish. That's a horrible thumbnail of me, but you get the idea. I'll just put a title for it. You can also upload if you have a video already ready on your computer. I'm going to go ahead and select save. And it's going to attach. You know it's there when you see this little message here. It says media comment. And if you realize you don't want to use it or you think it's a horrible video, you can click on the X to delete it. So I'm going to pretend this was perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and select send. Now I have this notification that message has been sent. And from my inbox filter, I'm going to change it to sent. So again, as a reminder that I checked off that box where each person gets an individual message. So I only have 2 people in this course. So I have a message where it says final project feedback sent to Clarissa. And then I have a second one, same exact message, but it's sent to Jack. So if Clarissa replies back to me, it will only come to me. It won't come to everybody in the course. And if Jack responds back, it will only send to me, not everyone in that course. So that is the overall between announcements and inbox. I'm going to come back here. I haven't been able to see the Q&A, but everything sounds good. If any of my colleagues need me to pause for a minute to clarify anything, please let me know when it comes to announcements and inbox. Oh, one more thing also. So if you do inbox, you will get an email sent to your PGCPS account email. Students and teachers will get an email notification letting them know that there is a message sent to them in Canvas. They won't be able to see the message on the email, but it's letting them know, hey, you got a message, go to Canvas. So keep that in mind. They will get notifications, email sent to their PGCPS email if there is an inbox message sent to them. And there's additional notifications as well that you can adjust in your settings for your courses. Okay, 2 more things. Yes, you can turn off that feature in your settings. I'm not going to have a moment right now to look into that, but hopefully if a colleague can put that in the Q&A for me. Okay, so let's recap. We talked a lot of things today. So we talked about the student experience. You got a chance to take a look at a course and see what it's like to experience Canvas as a student. We talked about the PGCPS expectations and plans with Canvas, how to create a course, import a template, add people, organize and edit a course. So we talked about a lot of those topics. There is another feature within Canvas called quizzes. We're not going to be able to have time today to actually dive deep into how to create a quiz, but I'm going to give you an experience on how you can complete a quiz within Canvas as a student. So I'm going to come over here to my Canvas and to the course that all of you had joined earlier in this session, the Canvas Sample Student course. If you can go ahead to that, you can either select Courses or Dashboard and find the Canvas Sample Student course. Select Modules. And I'm going to scroll all the way down right now. You may need to refresh because I need to publish it for you so that you can see as a student. You may need to refresh, but there's a module all the way at the bottom that says, let's take a quiz. And below that is a little Canvas quiz called Canvas Review. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, and I'm going to change it to student view so you could see what it would look like on your end. When you select it, if you don't see that module, you may need to refresh and go back to it. But there's a little quiz to review some of the things that we talked about today, and also for you to see the different types of features you can put in a quiz. So like the multiple choice, matching, and fill in the blanks and essay types of questions. So when you get here, you'll see Canvas Review. We gave some instructions. I'm going to click Resume Quiz because I was playing around with it. But when you click on it, there are a total of 6 questions. You can see that we can embed images for you, fill in the blanks, select from a drop-down. And I'm going to scroll all the way at the bottom. We did put some directions in here for you, some step-by-step written directions and an animated direction here. But the last one is an essay type of question. And instead of typing, you can have students type their responses here, but you also have students also have an option to record their responses as well. And in order to record, if you decide to do that, you'll select the three dots, select the record upload media, and then you can upload your recording here or select that record button, just like you can do in any rich content editor that you find on Canvas. So I'm going to give you this time here to go ahead and go into modules under the sample student course, where you were taking a look at a sample as a student, and you'll find the module at the bottom. Whoops, sorry, my computer is very sensitive. Find Let's Take a Quiz, and then select Canvas Review and try to complete the quiz on your own. Don't worry, you're not going to be in trouble if you don't do so well. We're not going to put it against you. Excuse me. We're not going to put it against you. And it's just a little practice for you to take a look at the different features. And when you submitted it, I have put the option where you can see your grades automatically. So go ahead and take that moment. Quizzes, and excuse me, take a look at the quiz and try out the different features and review some of the topics that we talk about. So the last thing I want to show you is resources. So some helpful tools and links. In the beginning of our session, sorry, captions went out. In the beginning of our session, we put in the chat for you Canvas 101 handout, where we include some must-haves, some templates, a comparison chart, a checklist, a Canvas community link, and more information. So I'm going to go ahead into that handout. So I can walk you through it for a bit. So just some information that help you from what we talked about from the beginning of the session all the way to the end. Is just a reminder on how to log into Canvas for staff. Step-by-step directions on creating a Sandbox course. How to import the course template from Commons. And then on the second page, we have some additional Canvas resources. So we have the comparison between Canvas and Google Classroom, a list of course must-haves, some things that you should include in your course, a little resource on basic Canvas elements on how, what are the difference between a page and an assignment, and all those things within Canvas. We also have a Getting Started with Canvas course, and I'm actually going to walk you through this. If you do click on it, you will see is another Canvas course where you will be enrolled as a student. You can self-enroll, and it gives you general information of what Canvas is, pretty much everything we talked about in our session today, but more on a breakdown and self-paced style. And if you select from the navigation on the left side, select modules, we have broken down everything that we talked about today into different sections and then into different modules. So you can go through this at any pace that you want. And if you wanted to, you don't have to go in order. So we have module 0, module 1, and on. So whatever, if you've already feel like you're good with module 0, you can move on to module 1. And if you already got organizing modules down, but you want to figure out how to create, you can go ahead and click on it. You can put it in any order that you want, and we give you some step-by-step directions, some videos, and additional information that you may find helpful when it comes to Canvas and using this, creating courses for your students. So again, that is the Getting Started with Canvas PGCPS Canvas course. And then next to it, we have created our own PGCPS Canvas site. So all of the resources and information, we are putting them all together into one place. So we will be putting here on the Canvas site We are still creating and developing, so keep checking it frequently as we add more information as well. And then Canvas has its own support site called the Canvas Community, where if you needed specific questions on something through Canvas, there's a bunch of tutorials, directions, videos, forums, all on Canvas. And you can also get tier 1 support from Canvas if you needed some additional help from someone specifically from Canvas. And then at the bottom, we've included that template guide, that the module planning guide that Michelle showed earlier today to help you visualize how you want to develop your modules and your course. And we included some templates if you wanted to create your own custom button for your homepage, that banner for your homepage, or if you want to do a course card image. If you're not sure what I mean by that, I'm going to come back here to my Canvas. Oops, I'm going to go to my dashboard. Oh, I'm in still student mode, sorry. If you go to your dashboard, you'll see all the different courses, and you see that we have these really nice images to help students differentiate which course they're looking at. If you wanted to get that template, that is the course card template, course card image template. And if you wanted to try out that Chrome extension that Monica was talking about, is the emoji keyboard by Joy Pixels. And then lastly, at the bottom, a little checklist for you to make sure your course is ready before sharing it out with your students. So again, I hope you have like a better understanding of how Canvas works. And again, you can always look at that handout, and every now and then we may be updating with new information on it. So if you did make a copy of it, try to bookmark bit.ly/PG Canvas 101 handout to refer back to it in case you made any updates. And of course, you can always find resources on our T3 website, bit.ly/T3PGCPS. And or you can, if any of these resources you've exhausted them and still can't find the answer to your question, you can always email us at t3@pgcps.org, or you can contact your assigned T3 trainer. Again, if you don't know who your assigned T3 trainer is, you can always email t3@pgcps.org. And just stay on just for a couple more minutes and answer any questions you may have.